To survive, and even more, for revenge, she forced herself to swallow rotting, foul-smelling meat. But the lion cubs, barely a month old, could not properly digest such carrion. If she could no longer produce milk, her 8 cubs would face the risk of starving to death. She was once a noble queen, commanding the pride with a single call. Now she had fallen to scavenging, struggling just to stay alive. And the one who caused all of this was her own mate, the Lion King Sekakama. Not only did he abandon his mate and offspring, he favored another lioness, bringing her and her family to seize Satao's homeland and driving Satao into a barren land. Satao once thought about giving up, but in her despair, she discovered she was pregnant, and in an exceptionally rare event, she gave birth to 8 cubs. In that moment, Satao gained the only leverage she had left, hope for a future and a chance to reclaim what was lost. At that time, 2 lion prides lived in the Luangwa Valley. Near the Luangwa River was the northern pride led by Satao. Water was abundant, prey was plentiful, and with the Lion King Sekakama guarding the territory, their main prey was powerful buffalo. If nothing unexpected happened, Satao's pride would only grow stronger. In contrast, the southern pride led by Songmei lived in the marshlands. It was a small pride without a resident male. Most of its members were young lions that ate but did not yet contribute much to hunting. As a result, safer and easier prey such as warthogs became their preferred target, though it was never enough to feed every member. If this continued, their survival would only grow more difficult. So Songmei decided to seek a powerful ally. Originally, the 2 prides had little interaction. Although Satao's pride was strong, they had no intention of expanding their territory. Until one day, while patrolling, Sekakama encountered a young and attractive lioness, Songmei. He was instantly captivated. Songmei had gone out precisely to find a strong protector. With mutual interest, what followed seemed almost inevitable. What was thought to be a fleeting attraction turned into betrayal. Sekakama abandoned his pride and followed Songmei back to her territory. At first, Satao did not take it too seriously. In lion society, males may come and go, but the pride is led by lionesses. Moreover, Satao had her 2 sisters and 6 subadult lions assisting her. She believed that even without a resident male, they could survive. One day, Satao led her pride to hunt buffalo. As usual, they worked together in close coordination, confident of success. But they soon discovered that the buffalo were fiercer and harder to deal with than before. The hunt ended in failure. Only then did Satao realize that without Sekakama's strength, they were no match for such formidable prey. Yet she had not fully grasped the consequences of losing a dominant male. In the following months, life was difficult, though not entirely hopeless. Occasionally, Satao managed to catch smaller prey. Sometimes, luck offered unexpected opportunities. She believed that once the young lions matured, their situation would improve. But she did not expect African wild dogs to quietly enter the very heart of her territory. As fellow predators, minor conflicts were common. Yet wild dogs had never dared to intrude so deeply. Now they boldly came to steal food. It was clear they understood that the northern pride no longer had a male lion to defend it. Many people assume that male lions play a minor role in a pride, since they rarely hunt and often eat first. But the true role of a lion king is to guard the pride and defend its territory. If Sekakama were still there, no matter how brave the wild dogs were, they would not dare act so brazenly. Only then did Satao fully understand his importance and realize that the days ahead would only grow harder. Eventually, Satao led her pride to the remote edges of their territory, seeking a way to survive. By chance, she discovered Songmei's nursery near the boundary. Remembering the hardship of the past months, anger filled her heart. If not for Songmei, Her pride would not have fallen so far. Though Songmei managed to escape, the conflict was far from over. A week later, Sekikama suddenly returned to the Northern Pride's territory, not out of remorse, but burning with anger to avenge Songmei. To buy time for the young lions to escape, Satao stepped forward, trying to calm him. But he showed no mercy. Although the cubs on both sides were his offspring, it was clear he favored the ones born to Songmei. The young lions managed to flee, but sending inexperienced lions alone into the wild was nearly the same as condemning them to death. Satao was devastated. She had not only lost her cubs, but also her hope of rebuilding a stronger pride. Once a family of 9, now only Satao and her 2 sisters remained. Life, already difficult, became even harsher. Though prey was abundant within the territory, without strength and numbers they could not even secure a zebra. Meanwhile, under Sekikama's protection, Songmei's pride grew stronger, enjoying what once belonged to Satao. To survive, Satao had no choice but to scavenge. She often ventured into leopard territory to steal leftovers. Even in decline, a lioness still held dominance over a solitary leopard, which could only watch its hard-earned prey being taken. In the wild, survival outweighs pride. Titles such as queen mean little when life itself is at stake. Gradually, Satao adapted to a life sustained by carrion. Though often hungry, at least she was alive. Yet even that fragile stability was threatened. The wild dogs no longer feared her and her sisters. They feared only a full-grown male lion, and all knew none would appear. Satao could only eat in silence while the wild dogs fed nearby, ready to attack once the food was gone. The once powerful queen now endured humiliation, seeing no clear path to reclaim her fate. When the dry season arrived in the Luangwa Valley, large herds of herbivores migrated toward reliable water sources. Satao's territory, bordering the Luangwa River, held the only remaining water. In the past, this would have been the most comfortable season for her pride. Now it brought greater danger, attracting not only prey but also rival predators. Without strength, she and her sisters held no advantage. Meanwhile, Songmei's pride, protected by Sekikama, followed the buffalo herds and never went hungry. Their destination was Satao's former territory. When they arrived, they hunted freely, as if it were their own. Satao and her sisters chose to leave, knowing they could not win a direct confrontation. Thus began their wandering life. In a desolate land, uncertain whether they could survive, fate offered an unexpected encounter. They met 2 nomadic male lions. Satao realized this might be her chance to change her destiny. She approached them and signaled her willingness to mate. She understood that if these 2 brothers stayed, the pride might regain the strength needed to reclaim its territory. But whether the males would remain depended on whether the pride could provide enough food. Without sufficient resources, nomadic males rarely commit. Time passed. A year later, Satao appeared again. Though she failed to keep the 2 males, she now walked with 8 cubs behind her. And these 8 cubs were her hope, not only for survival, but for resilience, reminding us that in nature, hardship can break a life or forge the will to endure. And so the valley grows quiet again. No throne was restored, no promise was spoken, only the wind moving through dry grass, and 8 small shadows following a lioness who refuses to disappear. Satao is not a symbol of revenge. She is not a legend written in triumph. She is something far older and far more honest persistence. In the Luangwa Valley, power shifts like the seasons, territory changes, alliances fracture, cubs are born into uncertainty. Nothing is permanent except the need to endure. Sekikama follows instinct. Songmei protects her own. The wild dog sees opportunity, and Satao adapts. There is no cruelty in it, no justice either. Only the quiet law that governs every living thing here. Survive if you can. Those 8 cubs walking behind her are not a guarantee of victory. They are possibility. In a land shaped by drought and flood, strength is never loud. It is measured in patience, in timing, in the decision to rise one more morning. If you felt the tension in the tall grass, if you sensed how fragile dominance truly is, then you have seen the deeper truth of the wild. This is Nature Wildlife Stories, where we do not judge nature, we witness it, where survival is not dramatized, but understood, and where every story reminds us how small we are beside forces that have shaped this planet for millions of years. The valley will change again. It always does. And somewhere beyond the next stretch of golden grass, another chapter is already unfolding.